Fuse with Ken, an amazing experience. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another amazing episode of Fuse. You know that I'm always going to look out for guests who have different experiences, different walks of life, people that have built and created incredible cultural phenomenons, and also at the same time learned lessons along the way that they can share with us. Now I'm excited about this one, and I'm also excited for you to learn about the behind the scenes story and the journey that she has taken to get there. I'm speaking about the one and only Michelle Raymond. Michelle is the executive leadership coach and trainer, certified Master NLP practitioner, and award winning international TEDx speaker on a mission to make the invisible visible. Michelle is the CEO of the People's Partner Limited, which focuses on minimizing organizational risk by strengthening the leadership pipeline for the future. And she is also the founder of the Diverse Business Summit, bridging the relationship between corporates and diverse business owners. Michelle is passionate about helping aspirational and professional women and men all over the world take a chance on life and do something great with the skills they already have. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Michelle Raymond.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Nice to have you on the show.
Good to be here. Absolutely good to be here.
So how does it feel to be here?
Well, let's put it this way. It's been a long time coming. So just being here in Dubai and being invited here, I'm really honored and I'm excited to have a deep dive discussion with you.
Amazing. I'm actually looking forward to that because when I was preparing to have you on the show, I went through your story, and I think you're someone that you are remarkable. You are bold, you're confident, and that's what we need in today's world, especially for the younger generation. They need to learn courage, they need to learn resilience, and that's what you have.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's what we're talking about today.
Okay.
So let's dive into it.
Yes.
Okay, so I like to start with your childhood. Can you walk us through your journey as a kid?
Yeah. So to be fair, I had a reasonably good life. Was brought up in a one-parent household, but we had an extended family.
Okay.
And my mother worked so hard to put me through private school, elocution lessons. So although I wouldn't say I was brought up with a silver spoon in my mouth, but we had money, so we were okay. Growing up, I grew up as a Christian. I still am. Went church. I was an avid churchgoer from the early age. I got baptized when I was 7. I got filled with the Holy Ghost when I was 8. So I've been in it, and I'm now like, I'm on the wrong side of 40, pushing 50, right?
Okay.
So,
but you don't look it.
No, I'm always asked for ID. Always asked for ID, and I'm like, I'm old enough to be your mother, your grandmother. Yeah.
Okay.
So, growing up in church has always been a big thing. My faith has always been a big thing, and growing up, I saw how the things I was instilled at a young age came to fruition when I was older. And I wanted to be a journalist, so I used to love to read a lot. And I had these big plans to be this big journalist. That didn't happen.
Why?
Because I was really torn by journalism. The ones that do well are the ones that they want. It's sinister. They pull people's lives apart. That part of the journalism, right? That's the ones that seem to do well. The ones that push the boundaries. And I really had an issue. How do I marry that up with my faith, my walk with God, where I'm, ripping people's lives apart in the type of journalism that I wanted to do and do my faith. So it didn't really work.
What kind of journalism do you want to do all the time? Because me, I'm also a journalist by profession. So we have some kind of journalism that helps people across the world.
Yes.
But what kind of journalism
I was
do you
doing
want to do all the time?
I was interested in sensationalism.
Okay.
Yeah.
I understand.
So you can see it didn't really work very well for me. So then I got into HR, and I actually got into HR. I fell into HR. I was working at a company still when I was younger, and I was pregnant. And when I was pregnant, they got rid of me. And I thought to myself, this can't be right. I mean, if I knew my labor law, my human resource law, there's
Okay.
no way they would get rid of me like that. But I didn't know. I was innocent. I didn't know. But after that, I started to read more about it. And then I did my undergraduate degree in it. Then I did a postgraduate degree in it. Then I did a master's in it. And then I was fully employed working in HR. And I never was ever put back in that situation where you didn't know your rights. And I've always since then been fighting for the underdogs. Always. Even in HR, although the company will pay me, I would always try and see how can I support the employee. And that's what I've been doing all my
Okay.
life. Yeah.
So growing up as a kid in
Yes.
UK, you wanted to be a
Yes.
journalist.
That's right.
Okay. So what changed?
Well, I just thought it just couldn't work. It really couldn't work for me. And I I just have a love for people in general, just helping people, want them to
Okay.
succeed. So I thought, how can I do that with the skill set that I already had? And I
Okay.
was very good at employment law. I'm very good with dates and remembering specific case studies. So I just used that to my advantage, working with larger organizations, but
Okay.
helping the employee in large organizations.
Amazing. So as we look at your journey, because I like to start with the childhood, because we all
Yes.
know that what we our experiences in our childhood shape us to become who we are.
Yeah.
So can you walk us through your parenting, like your parents,
Yes.
how were they in the life that you have today?
Everything.
So walk us through that journey.
Everything. Let's put it this way. My mum was my mum, my father, my sister, my brother, everything. We are very close. Even until now, when I go on holiday, and I'm married, and people will say, "Where's your husband? Why is it always your mum?" I take her everywhere. She
Okay.
instilled so much in me from a young age in terms of discipline, in terms of resilience, pushing through, never giving up. I saw my mum work 2 to 3 jobs to get me through private school. And I had, like I mentioned before, I had elocution lessons helping me to speak more articulate,
Okay.
horse riding, ballet lessons. And she did it by herself. And when I saw the time that she put in, and she was one of those mothers, she would take me to the altar. It was her sacrifice,
So she laid a foundation for
laid the
you
foundation
spiritually.
spiritually, physically, emotionally, and how to deal with when problems come. And she was always one of those parents, we don't need to tell everybody our business, but we will sort it out at home. And she's been my biggest backer, my biggest supporter.
Amazing.
Absolutely fantastic.
I can relate with you because my mom is my
Yes.
best friend, actually.
Yes,
I
I
tell her
love that.
everything,
Yeah.
So I just feel like, mothers are golden and they don't get enough flowers that they
Yeah.
deserve.
Whilst they're still here.
Actually.
Whilst they're still here.
Okay. So you watching this, I think you should give your mom more flowers.
Oh, mum. Well, if mum is watching this,
So let's look at, your life in the UK. You grew up in the UK, all right?
yes, yes.
And you dreamt of being a journalist. That didn't work out, all right? So you did a couple of other jobs. So
Yes.
what experiences do you get out of those jobs?
Well, in terms of the HR, it was where most of my career, for over 25 years, I've been in HR, over
Wow,
25
that's,
years.
that's amazing.
Yeah. And I started off in smaller company, then I went to a larger company, then I went self-employed where I was still doing HR.
Okay.
And I think with HR, it really shows you loyalty because the company are paying you for you to do what they want you to do.
Okay.
Okay, in any job, HR, you have to do what the company want you to do. But I could see how they were treating employees, and I thought, how do I show that I am loyal to the company, but I want to make sure that they are treating these people right? Like they were dismissing people on a whim, not giving them time to improve. So I made sure that I implemented strategies and initiatives that will work in favor to the employees. So I spoke to the company and talked about how can we extend maternity leave so that they can spend more time with their children, but when they come back, they can still come back to the same role and don't be demoted to a lesser role. So
Okay.
those kind of initiatives, these are the only ways that I could support employees and still work for the company and not get sacked because, I wasn't following the rules. So it's those types of things I started doing. And then I thought to myself, you know what? I could do this by myself. I'm very much a self-starter, self-motivated. I'm not one of those people that you have to check on. Michelle, are you doing it? Have you done it? And this is some of the skills that I learned at a young age that I'm going to need when I'm fully self-employed.
Okay.
And that's how I got to the journey where I am now, fully self-employed. And when I need to wake up and do the work, I do the work. And I'm always fighting for the underdog, the people that don't have a voice, the
The
people that
voiceless.
the voiceless, the invisible, or even those that have a voice, but people are still not listening.
Now, the part where you said that you fight for people that don't have a
Yes.
voice. Okay, I think that we need to talk more
Mm.
about it because we have a chunk
Mm-hmm.
amount of people that they don't have the
No.
voice. And can you walk us through that
Mm-hmm.
journey of how you've been able to your experiences with these people over time? How's the experience been?
Yeah, I mean, it shows up in various ways, right? There could be people who, because I'm big on diversity and inclusion. There are people who might be neurodivergent. That means they think differently from other people.
Okay.
And people always think that different is no good. But I want to prove to them that different adds value. So when people in organizations say, will they fit into our culture? And I'm more, but we want to add value. They come with something different. So don't look at how they speak or how they look or how they walk. Let's just talk about the qualities that they bring to the table. So I'm always, when I even do my leadership training and I'm helping either with hiring or recruiting, I always don't look at what you can see on the face value. Let's dig deep in. And so that's why I make sure that even those who on the outside, they look like they've got it going on and they're happy. It's even those people, sometimes they're not happy. And how can I support them? It's in their quiet times when people are not around, when they're not on social media. They might
Okay.
have all the likes, all the followers. And sometimes those people, they're living a whole different life underneath. And it's me, and I want to be that person to help them out. So that's why I organized an event called the Diverse Business Summit.
Okay.
And that's specifically because there are Black business owners, Asian business owners, female business owners that do not get the same opportunities as our white counterparts.
I think that's a very big subject.
Yeah.
I will talk about it later on the show. But there's something very, important that you said in your, statement, which is the fact that some persons, don't get what they deserve.
No.
Now, let's look at it as someone that's been experienced in HR. Would you say is the problem is from organization or the problem is from the system?
I would say the organization is the system. There's there's systemic racism and discrimination in just the way how organizations are created and how they run. So, for example, in HR, when we have our questions, I see the questions that they ask, and I think, but why is that relevant? How is that relevant to the job? Questions are designed in a way that that only certain people will be able to get it, or certain people will be able to expand on it. And there's parts of that are indirectly discriminatory. So I always review questions before they go out, and especially when it's automated. So there's like applicant tracking systems, for example.
Okay.
Whoever created the applicant tracking system is going to be biased in some way. And so it can indirectly discriminate against women or against Black people. So all of these things, I have to just make sure that I review, that I audit. When people come for interviews, I always make sure that on the interview board, it's a diverse interview board. So we
Okay.
have women, we have men, we have people from different cultures. Because the thing is, like attracts like all the time. So I've been in interviews, and the CEO is interviewing somebody who's gone to a same university, and they get excited. Oh my God, this is brilliant. Oh my God, you'll love it here.
Okay.
But So there's somebody else might come in who didn't go to the same university and could be just as good for the role at hand. So I always make sure that I'm sitting in these meetings almost like an arbitrary to make sure that we are looking at things fairly.
Equality, I think that's what you stand
Equality,
for.
yes. Yes. Well, equity, which is slightly different. Equal means that we're all starting on the same level, but we're not.
Okay.
So, like, if we run a race, equality is that we all start here and we all have the same chance of getting to the destination. Equity is knowing that this person, this it could be a black woman, she hasn't had the same start in life as this person. So we might need to give her a bit more. We might need to make her start a little bit ahead of the race, and then they both run together. Equity is knowing when to give a few more advantages to those who are disadvantaged. So it's not equality, it's equity.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so as we look at your journey today, when I was preparing for this show, I stumbled on one of your, quotes, which I love. And you said you can't leave footprints in the world if you are tiptoeing in life. What does that actually mean?
When you speak to people, the first thing they say is, oh, I want to change the world. I want to impact the world. I want to impact 1,000 women, 10,000 women.
Okay.
Great. It all sounds great on paper. But when I look at your life, what are you actually doing to impact all of those lives? So everybody says that they want to make an impact in the world, but in reality, they're still tiptoeing. They're not going for things that are outside of their comfort zone. They're not going for things that are bigger than them. They want to still like play small. But how can you play small if you have this mission statement that you want to impact 50,000 lives? So I always challenge, and it's something that I challenge myself. So in reality, and not many people will believe, but I am risk averse. Yeah. But I know that every movement I make, I'm giving permission for another woman to make a movement. Every step I take, I'm giving permission for my daughter to take that step. So I know that I'm not doing what I'm doing for myself. If it was up to me, I would just be happy to stay at home.
All right.
But no, I know there's other people coming behind me. I know my daughter's watching me, I'll share what she's doing now, so it puts it in context. But that is what that quote is about, and I challenge myself every day, and I think to myself, Michelle, what can I do? What am I doing today that's going to make me feel uncomfortable? What am I going to do today that's going to make me learn something new about myself or learn something new about someone else? Those are the two things I ask myself every single day.
So, what would you say to that person watching this right now and is still tiptoeing and wants to do something great? What would you say to that person?
I will question them and say, do you really want to make an impact? Or are you saying it because it's a good thing to say? It's what social media
Or
want
maybe
you
it's
to say.
cliche or something.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry?
I said maybe they say it because it's cliche.
Oh, yeah, of course. And many people do that. Many people do that. And I will challenge them just to do a little bit of something every day that gets you closer to that mission that you forever say. That's something I have to do myself. And it's not always easy.
Okay.
Sometimes, when challenges come, it's just easier to hide away or to play small. But, the world is so big and there's room for all of us. I actually believe there's
Okay.
room for all of us. I don't need to dim my light for Ken's light to shine. I don't need to. I remember somebody said, oh, Michelle, you shouldn't keep talking about all the things you're doing because I'm making other people feel inferior. I've been told that a number of times. So then I thought to myself, okay, then I probably I shouldn't talk about my dreams and what I want to achieve. But then I remember I was speaking to one of my mentors and said, why are you dimming your light? You're around the wrong people if that's what they're saying. But light attracts light. So my thing is now, when I talk about it, I'm talking about it with the right people who are going to champion my cause, who's going to open the door for me, who are going to be the green lighters in my world. And when I surround myself with people like that, I get to think bigger, I play bigger and act bigger.
I had a conversation with someone, and he said, "Ken, when you have plans, when you
Yes.
have things you want to do, just keep it within you until you achieve it." And over the years, growing up, I've also had conversation with people, and they say, don't say things you want to do. Maybe people around you might feel threatened, they might feel insecure, But me personally, I think if I share my plans with you, I would inspire you to do more.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, and I know I've had this conversation several times. So, on the need for people to inspire people, what would you say? Because people like to hoard things, right? They feel
Yeah.
like if the next person knows what they want to do,
They're gonna take it away, or they're gonna, listen, I've heard it all before, but I believe that silence is complicity. And what I mean by that is when you're silent about your dreams and your ambitions and what you want to achieve, it's your get out clause. It's your get out clause. But whereas when you verbalize it to the right people and at
to
the
the
right
right people, for
to the
emphasis.
right
Okay.
people, I think it's actually to the right people,
Okay.
and people who are visionary, who are big thinkers. When you explain what you want to achieve to those people, all of a sudden you're now held accountable to your goals, and that's really important. Really important. If you keep everything to yourself and you don't tell anyone, then you're giving yourself the pass to fail, because no one knew I was going to do it anyway. So if I don't do it, it doesn't matter. Whereas if you verbalize it or vocalize it to the right people, and those people who can either open the doors for you, share these opportunities. Even yesterday, so I used to go to Kingston University,
Okay.
and out here they have over 800, and I didn't know this, 800 past students from Kingston University out here in Dubai.
Okay.
And every quarter they all meet up, as many of them can, meet up to network and get to know each other. Now, I could have easily just stayed in and said, oh, I can't be bothered to go. But I went, and we were all talking about what we're doing. And I shared a few things that I'm working on.
Okay.
The gentleman next to me said, oh my God, I'm so glad you told me this. Let me see what I can do. I'm going to, call a few people for you. I know a particular venue that you might be able to use. And I'm also looking for sponsorship. And they told me today that the sponsorship's been sent to a big company out here, and they're going to push it for me. Now, that's because I shared what I wanted to achieve
To
with
the right
somebody
person.
to the right person.
Amazing.
That's really important. Yeah.
Okay, great. So as we look at your journey today, I usually like to ask people of great impact a particular question,
Okay.
which is purpose. So,
Yeah.
Michelle Raymond, at what point in your life did you find your purpose? And was that difficult?
Part of my life. I'll tell you when I found my purpose. So back in around now, I would say, how old is my daughter? My daughter's now 19. So yeah, about 9 years ago, 9, 10 years ago, I was in a situation where I was married to my first husband, and he, we lived a good life. We had our house, we had um, two cars. We were doing well. So there was no problem at all, no problem within our relationship at all. And then what transpired afterwards changed my world upside down. And that's where I can really say that's where I found my purpose. So my ex-husband I was sitting at home minding my own business. Then I got a phone call, and the phone call said, oh, your husband has been suspended from work because he was we believe that he's been abusing children. So I was like,
How did you feel about that
no, I didn't
news?
believe it. I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it. And I was like, no, not my husband. I would know. I would know that something's going on. And then obviously these things start to unravel. All it takes is for one person to say something, and things start to unravel. Then you start to see there is such, I tell you, insight, foresight is a wonderful thing, because now that they alerted me to this, I started seeing things which I didn't see before. Anyway, we had a conversation about it. It was actually years went past, in the sense of it went to court. He got arrested. It went to court. The court was like on the following year, because we were towards the end of the year, and he was in bail. And then he was put in prison. So he was
He was
given,
convicted,
he was
or
convicted. He was convicted of 13 counts of a mixture of sex with underage children, molestation, yeah, the whole thing.
that must have actually been a very terrible experience for you.
Very, absolutely. And I tell you why it was doubly, because my daughter was really young at the time, and we were married at that point, I think 3 years. We were probably married at that point, and we went to a very well-known church. And because it occurred with some of the young girls in the church, it my life became unbearable. It happened in the UK. It was in the newspapers. It was on the news. So my home address was in the newspapers. I was referred to as the wife of the paedophile. So now the people in my community that heard about it and read about it, so my husband now was on bail in a different city, completely different city, just myself and my daughter at home. I had people putting bricks through my window while my daughter were there. I would walk to the shops. People used to spit in my face. I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything.
So you were actually guilty by association.
Guilty by association. Guilty by association. When I went to church, when it was prayer time, people would be tapping me, saying, "Oh, Michelle, is it true?" I went to a shop. Somebody was working at the tills. I just went to pay for some items. They were talking about my whole life. I went to a big supermarket. It was on the front of the newspapers, and I heard people talking about it. It was the worst time. But I tell you where my purpose came through, going back to your question. During that time, I fell into depression. My hair started falling out. Um, I contracted an illness called urinitis, which means I wet myself without any warning. I could be walking, I could be in a car, traveling. So in the UK, we have motorways similar to out here.
Okay.
And when I knew that happened is when I had to travel to see my ex-husband, and that's when it started happening because the anxiety of everything. And I had to go to hospital about it, and they said there was no cure. I'm fine now, but they said there was no cure. So all of this was happening, and then because I fell into depression, social services said that they have to take my daughter away from me. So all of this was happening in my life, and I used to sing as well. So I used to sing for Kylie Minogue. I used to sing for Rod Stewart and some other people. So because I was with this agent, they took me off the books because I was bringing bad press. So I
So
was,
it
yeah,
was bad PR for them at the
bad
time.
PR for them, bad PR. So one of the times I went to court and the agent was there and said, "Oh, we can't have you on our books anymore." Yeah, it was a terrible time. I almost lost my job because everything was happening. I wasn't going into work as often as I should have, obviously. So all of this, but my family and my friends, they were so, so supportive during that time. And I was in church, and the purpose came then. I was sitting in church, and I felt that I should have known, that I should have seen the signs. I didn't see anything. Like one time I put my daughter to bed. One of the girls had came to the house because we were at church together. She said that she wanted to play with my daughter. So she came to the house on the Sunday. She was playing with her. I said, I'm going to put her to bed. So I put her for an afternoon nap. My ex-husband and the young girl were downstairs, and he blessed her in the kitchen. And I heard
That's
that.
so sad, actually.
Very sad. And I heard that when I was in court, and I remember it like it was yesterday. When I heard that, my stomach sunk, and my aunt was sitting next to me, and she was holding my hand. I remember she was holding it tight, and she said, "Don't cry, Michelle." She was holding my hand so tight. She said, "Do not show people how you feel."
But I have one question. It was 13 counts of, molestation and, sexual, crime.
Mm-hmm.
But people obviously judged you,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because they felt like you should have known.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason for this question I'm going to ask now is because there are lots of persons that are married right now,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll be very emotional hearing this story.
Mm-hmm.
So, would you say that you didn't notice, you didn't observe, there was no signs, or would you say you were not really observant? Because
Yeah,
women
yeah,
need to know
yeah.
this,
Oh yeah,
men need to know this, that people that are married now and heinous crimes are actually happening under
all the
their
time.
nose,
Yes,
actually,
under
but they
their
are not
nose.
aware.
They're not
So,
aware.
would you say you were not aware? You didn't observe. You didn't
They,
see anything.
you know what I saw, but because he worked with young people, so there was always young people around. But I remember the one thing I noticed. I thought that's doesn't make sense. Is uh, I thought when all this started, this is only from the phone call. I didn't notice anything before the phone call. But when I had the phone call, then now I was watching how he was behaving, and I was thinking, and I've got a background in psychology, so I was trying to make sure that I wasn't now seeing things that weren't there, but I'm going by what I heard, and now I'm now imagining things. So I had to be very clear about what I was seeing. So I thought I need to read his text messages on his phone, and there was a number that kept coming up. And at the time, my uncle or my cousin worked for BT. And I said, I need you to take this number. Tell me what this number is. And it was a mobile number. And I rang the mobile number and it was one of the girls. So I just thought, but how? Why would he be ringing this girl so many times? And I was looking at the times. It's like when we were in bed at 3 a.m. in the morning, when we were at church, all these texts were happening. So then I spoke to him about it. He gave me some rubbish story. Oh, I'm just looking out for her. You know, we're close with the family. So he was able to talk his way out. But from there, I was thinking it's still not right. And then that number no longer showed on the phone statement. But then there was another number, a landline. And then once again, I gave it to BT to review. And it was a phone box. So you know what happened? After she would finish school, she would go to the phone box and tell him to ring the phone box. So this is how sinister it
So
really
all of
became.
this was happening under your nose,
Yeah.
and you did. Yes, you had
Yes.
signs, but you like you did not feel like it was too worrisome.
Oh no, so I spoke to him about it and I said, but this is not right. And I said, I don't understand what are you talking about? What do you talk about with a child? And I think she was 13 or 14. And then he said, oh, she's been bullied at school and I'm just making sure that she's okay. And I said, but she has a father. Then let's speak to her father about it. And then she's saying, oh no, but I did. So then I spoke to the father and I said, oh, my husband's been helping your daughter. Because obviously at this time, that's all I thought it was. But then it only transpired when I got to court that he was grooming her. But at the time, I just thought he was being helpful because he was one of these helpful people.
Okay.
So that's what I thought it was. But he was grooming her, and so my purpose came when I was in church, and I felt really guilty, and I was just kept crying all the time, and I physically heard God whisper in my ear, "Be transformed by the renewing of your mind." And he said that my mind's playing up with me now because I'm thinking I'm guilty. Why didn't I not see the signs? And he said, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And that changed everything for me because
Amazing.
I was so invisible. You know, when you read out earlier that I champion people who are invisible,
Yeah.
because at that time I was invisible. I was so invisible. Nobody wanted me to sit next to them. I remember going to sit down and someone put their hand there and said, you can't sit there. There's no seats for you. Like I had leprosy or something,
Discrimination.
discrimination. And I became so invisible, and I wasn't known as Michelle Raymond. I was known as the wife of the paedophile. Like I had no name. And I sat in church and I said, God, when you bring me out of this, I will never be invisible again. And I will never let anyone else be invisible. And since then, that has been my mantra and I've championed it every day.
I'm sure this is really heartfelt.
And emotional.
I'm very
I
emotional
was
right
getting
now.
there, but I was holding in.
Yeah, I could feel it, but I'm glad that you came out of it, and you actually turned what would have killed you
Yes.
into a powerful story. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I think you deserve to be celebrated,
Thank you.
actually.
Thank you.
And I want you to speak to that wife right now,
Yes.
watching this show, okay? Or that husband, or that, young girl watching this show, on the need to be aware of their environment.
Yes.
What would you say to that person watching this?
Read the signs. The signs are always there. When I did like a reflection of things, I thought, actually, that's another sign. That was a sign. That was a sign. Like staying up late when I was ready to go to bed, staying up late on the phone. I'm thinking, who you're talking to, that's a sign. And be brave enough to challenge the signs. What happens with us women? We think either we think that we can change people. We can't change people. People's got to want to change for themselves, right? And sometimes we don't want to put barriers in our marriages. When we marry, we want to marry for life.
Of course.
So, but my thing is, if I had seen the signs and recognized the signs, the next step is to challenge the signs. I've got something that I say now, and I say with my good close friends and people that I love. I listen, I don't judge, which means I'm giving you the green card to tell me what's on your mind, even if I won't like it, even if I don't like, if I'm not going to like what I hear.
Okay.
And back then, that's what I should have done at the time. Just be open to listen. But I didn't even want to listen because I thought this could never be true. Not in my wildest dreams would I think that he was molesting children. Never, never. I knew there was something wasn't right because I'm thinking, why are you calling young people? But I would never, never. So when I heard that, that's different. So to any wife watching this, any partner, the signs are there.
Don't ignore.
Don't ignore it. Don't be blind to it. Don't think it's going to go away because it gets worse and it escalates and it double down. So you need to nip it in the bud when you see the sign, even if it's the smallest sign. Even as a small, and be brave enough to have the conversation. Because that's step 2, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's one thing to see the sign. It's a second thing to now challenge the signs.
Okay, but let's talk about seeing the signs and challenging the signs. Very important subject.
Yes.
But when we're in love, the butterflies, and we feel so good.
And this is it.
Okay.
This is it, right? This is the real truth.
We are in love and we don't want things to, damage. We don't want the atmosphere to be so bad or sore. And that's the time when we need to ask the questions. That's why we need to be attentive. All right? Especially for young women dating right now, necessarily not even married, or even men watching this, watch out for the signs.
Watch out for the signs. They're always there.
It's always there, right?
It's always there. And you have 2 choices when you're in a relationship and you see signs. Are you going to put them first, or are you going to put yourself first? Because if you put yourself first, you'll be open to, whatever happens, happens. Whatever happens, happens. And that's what I had to do. That's what I had to do. And that's what I would encourage anyone to do. Be courageous enough to know that you'll get through it. Be courageous to know that you get through it. But if you do not challenge these things now, it'll get worse. It'll get worse.
Wow. Michelle, I really feel so emotional right now. And I hope you're watching this. You're taking notes. We actually have someone that went through, I would say, hell, because that was terrifying. That was terrible. But I love the fact that you were able to transform that into something great today.
Yes.
Thank you for that.
Definitely. And I think part of it now, so I do executive coaching, leadership training with companies all over the world. And my daughter, who is now 19, she's been through so much. When she recently she was at work and they said, "Oh, let's do a Google search of our family members." She freaked out because all she kept saying is, what if they find out about my dad? What if they find out? And that really, really worried her. But she watches me at home. So I do lots of my executive coaching at home, where I'm always telling people to follow your dreams, just go out and do what you need to do. So 3 weeks before coming here, my daughter, she's quite quiet, she's self-assured but quiet. She said to me, "Oh, Mum, I've been applying for jobs out in Dubai." And she has been successful in finding a job. They said to her that she is the youngest that they've ever hired. And I said, "Why would they want to hire you? What was it?" And then she said, "Mum, I listened to everything that you've told all of your clients, and now it's my turn." And she said, "I gave them no reason not to hire me. And in less than a month, my daughter will be out here as a resident."
Amazing.
Strange.
Strange
and exciting.
I like the fact that she was audacious.
Very audacious.
And she got that from you.
Very audacious. And
like
I
that.
look at her and I think, I've done something right. I actually
A proud
look at
mother,
her.
you
I'm
would
a
say.
proud mother, and because it could have gone somewhere else. She could have been taken into care. I could have been institutionalized, because I'm telling you, I did lose it a little bit.
Okay, so during that terrifying moment, how was the relationship between you and your daughter?
Close. We are inseparable. Just like I am with my mum, it is very generational. My daughter is the same. Like all the time. And one thing, she's one of these audacious young girls, but she listens. So she listens to me, and we get on really well. And I'm so, so proud of her. I will say that's one of my biggest achievements, is growing her to be a young, respectable young lady.
Amazing.
Yeah.
If you're watching this, your mom says she's very proud of you. So
She'll be watching this.
Okay, so as we look at your journey today, I'm already emotional.
Yeah.
You help professionals around the world
Yes.
gain absolute clarity, upgrade their confidence, create consistency, and of course, continue growth. So tell us, what are the keys to building self-confidence and loving oneself? Tell us about that.
Sometimes you just got to look in the mirror and say, yes. Sometimes that's all you need to do. We are so quick to judge ourselves. You don't even need to wait for other people to judge us. We judge ourselves. Now, my thing is, if I'm not even saying encouraging and empowering words to myself, how can I expect other people to say that? Now, I'm not good at everything, but I know what I am good at. I exemplify. And that's what I always tell people to do. This is where self-confidence comes into. You don't have to be good at everything. You don't need to know everything. Even in your role as whatever you do, you don't need to know everything there. But the things that you do know, you exemplify that, and you magnify it, and you speak about it. So one thing I'm always told is that, "Oh, Michelle, you've got really good charisma. People just like you." And I just thought, what is that? I mean, what? And someone said, "I wish I could just bottle your sense of humor and your charisma and how you are with people." So I thought, actually, there's something there. How can I utilize it? And Ken, I'm telling you, I utilize it to get anything I want.
Okay.
And anything and everything. So that's where self-confidence comes into. Just knowing that you only need to be good at one thing and work on it. Upskill it. 10x it. That's all we need to do. And that's where true self-confidence comes into.
Amazing. I love that. I learned something from that. That's good. So as we look at all of this, because of how inspirational and motivation you are, I want you to talk about insecurities.
Yes.
A lot of persons battle with us.
Yeah.
Okay. At one point in my life, growing up as a kid, I felt so insecure. All right. I felt like I wasn't good enough. All right. Though I grew up in a family where my father was so audacious, was so bold, and I'm a twin, by the way. All right.
Okay,
and
nice.
my twin brother, was very audacious growing up, but I was a silent one. I was just too quiet. And my dad would look at me and say, if not that you were a twin, I would have doubted
Wow.
that you were actually my son, growing up as a kid. So I had so much insecurities. But when I lost my dad, I faced life. I realized that I had the power that I didn't know I had. So Right now, can you talk to young people, men and women
Yeah.
watching this and are so insecure or struggling with insecurities?
Yeah, I think it does go back to what I was saying before. Insecurities come from different places.
What's the root cause?
Sometimes it's transference. I actually really believe it's not that you are insecure, it's that other people around you are insecure and they make you feel insecure. That's what I've found has happened. We talk a lot about imposter syndrome.
Okay.
And an imposter syndrome is where you feel like you're inadequate and you're not good enough. You're doing really well in life and you feel like you don't deserve to be there. It's usually because somebody else has said to you, how did you get there? How did you do it? Questioning your ability and your capability and your credibility. And that's called transference. So we need to understand, and this is why you have to be careful who's around you, who's sowing into your life, who's speaking into your life. I always protect my ear gate and my eye gate all the time, because sometimes when I'm insecure, I'm thinking, is it me who's insecure, or is it because other people have said that I couldn't do it? And this is where some levels of insecurity come from. So let's say now you are insecure. I don't even like to even use that. I just think probably you're not ready. Maybe you're
What's
just
the
not
difference
ready.
actually?
Because insecurity is such a strong label, and it can stick with you for a lifetime. But being not ready is in a moment. So you may not be ready now, but you might be ready in 2 weeks' time or 2 years' time. So there's a big difference. And so when I think to myself, I'm looking at situations where I have felt felt like an imposter syndrome or insecure. It's because I'm looking at people around me and I'm comparing myself to other people. And I have to remember, I was designed like this. I'm destined to be like this. God made no mistakes when he made me. He made no mistakes. I may have big lips. So can I have big lips? But I choose to wear red lips to make them look bigger. Why? Because I am not a mistake. When I was younger, I used to get teased because of my lips. And I was called pound of liver. And you know what? It took one stranger. I was going on the train and I had lip gloss. And it took one stranger to say, "Oh my God, your lips are beautiful." Since then, I wear lip gloss all the time. I wear lipstick all the
I
time.
can imagine. You know, right?
Thanks, right? That's all it took. So I want to encourage anyone that feels insecure. Remember, you're not ill made. There was no mistakes when you were born. There's no mistakes how you live. There's no mistakes how you work and how you operate. There should be nothing a part of you that should make you feel insecure. You need to find the one thing you're good at, and you have to remember these things. When people on social media, for example, when people say something good about you, you've done something, I screenshot everything. I screenshot it all, because in those down days where you're just feeling like you're not good enough and I can't do this, I go through all the things, great things that other people have said about me, to remind me. Because sometimes you can't even find it within yourself. Let's be honest. Sometimes you can't dig deep enough to find it yourself, and sometimes it has to come from external. And that's what I do. Then I will look back at what people have said, and then I will look back at things that my mother has sent me, my friends have sent me, and then I remember, Michelle, come on now, you're better than this. You can do it. And and I always say, if I apply for something and I didn't get it, and I say this to my daughter, if you apply for something and you didn't get it, it's not because you're incapable or you're inadequate. They are not ready for you. And God is just making a way out of no way somewhere else. Not you're not ready for them. They are not ready for you. They're not ready for the change that you're going to bring. They're not ready for the transformation that you're going to bring. So every job that I didn't get, it was their loss. It was their loss. And that's how I deal with insecurity.
Amazing. You watching this? I just hope you took notes, because Michelle is really spitting out a lot of facts today. I'm actually inspired.
Thank you.
When I sit with people of great impact and when they dish out these nuggets, I feel grateful that I'm even getting it firsthand here.
Yes.
I feel so grateful,
Thank
Michelle.
you.
I think you should be, I said it earlier on, I'll say it again. I think you should be a lot celebrated.
Thank you.
And as we move into your journey today, you already spoke about your story about the whole crime thing, the stigma and everything, but you're actually an award-winning TEDx speaker.
Yes.
You changed what would have killed you
Yes.
into a huge accomplishment by becoming a motivational speaker, a TEDx award-winning speaker. And you spoke about, the invisible, victims of crime.
Yes.
I saw that. I literally had tears, falling down my eyes. When I work, because I've been in situations, I've seen people, being stigmatized for what they did not do. All right. I come from Africa where, sometimes for the women, for instance, I'll give a very clear picture.
Yeah.
When my dad died, my mom, in Africa, where we come from, in Nigeria, and in the eastern part of Nigeria, at that time, when a woman loses her husband, they were like, there might be this probe. Maybe she killed him. All right. Maybe let's try to watch her. They'll try to want to shave her hair, and all of this. It was a lot. Now it's getting a lot better. But back in the day when I grew up, it was very, very bad, So I've also seen people face, punishment for what they did not do. You were only guilty by association because you married the man. Otherwise, nothing would have happened to you, right?
Yeah.
You were just living your life. But because you were actually married to that man, what he did affected you.
Yes.
And today, you're actually a motivational speaker. Walk us through that 8-minute TEDx talk.
Let me tell you about that TEDx talk. To apply to do any of the TEDx talks, it can take a long time. And I, at the time, had no intention of doing a TEDx talk, but I saw somebody and I shared, once again, the right person.
All right.
I shared the journey with the right person. And he said, oh, I'm going to get you need to do a TEDx talk. You must do a TEDx talk. So we found one and I put in an application. So I gave them an idea. They turned me down twice. They said, we can't have that on here because it's too emotionally charged. So I said, okay, fine. And I left it. Because remember, I said, it's their loss, not mine. I left it. And I think 8 or 9 months went past. Then I got an email. The lady said, that she wanted me to deliver the TEDx talk, but the other people didn't want, and they've all gone. And I said, that's fine. And then she said, we want you to do it. And she goes, I can't believe they all left. I know why they all left. Because when God makes a way, he will just get rid of the people he doesn't want. Okay. And they went. I did that TEDx talk. I was the only one. Mine was very short. It's probably one of the shortest TEDx talks because I knew I couldn't do it longer than that. Okay. And what I wanted to do is do it from the perspective of my perspective of how people who commit a crime, you talk about them, you talk about the victims, but there's a subculture of people who are not the victims, not the perpetrators, but they are related to the perpetrators. And I wanted to give them a voice. I wanted them to get some visibility. And I just used my story as a way to do that. And I remember the day before the TEDx, my back went. I think it was all the stress and the anxiety just all built up.
The
pressure. I actually got to the venue and I was using a walking stick. I just couldn't walk. I was in so much pain. When they said, let's welcome to the stage, Michelle Raymond, and you had to walk across the stage on the red dot. When I was walking, obviously it's not, you guys don't see that. Someone was helping me to walk onto the red spot. When I got to the red spot, I just thought, Michelle, we've got to bring this.
It's time.
It's time. And the backache went. And I did that talk. And after the talk, as soon as I finished, it came back. But when I needed to deliver, it wasn't there. And I will never forget that experience. It was just absolutely crazy. But that talk has opened up so many doors. I've had so many speaking engagements. But what I try not to do is, it's not trying to keep reliving the past, is what are the lessons learned. I was asked to be on the BBC. They wanted to do a documentary about it. I declined it
Why?
because I was looking at their ulterior motive for it. They said to me, "Can I find other black women who have been through this?" It's not a black problem. It's not a black problem, and I wasn't going to make it be a black problem. So I declined. I declined that because they said, "Oh, find me other black people who have been through this trauma," and so they could do a whole documentary about it. And I said, "No, I'm not going to do that."
Okay, I will say something because you grew up in the UK, and I've had conversations with persons that grew up in the UK, and they tell you that at some point in the UK, racism was very high.
Yes.
And now you're speaking about your experience or your experiences, and I could detect some level of discrimination, right?
Yes, yeah.
So when you do stuff or when you do anything you do, do you prepare, or what's like your mindset with the fact that you are coming from where there was racism or there is racism? You tell us.
Yeah, there's definitely racism. And I like to go into things with a blank canvas. And I don't ever want to think, "Oh, this is happening behind the scenes. This is happening behind the scenes." But I'm wise to it. But I try not to, because if I just live in a world where I think everything is, there's other things happening behind the scenes that I don't know about, I would never be able to live a fulfilled life. But at the beginning, when the BBC had asked me to do a documentary on it, I said yes. And I thought, it's just going to be me and I can tell the story from that perspective. But then they said, "Well, actually, let's bring in some other people." And at first I thought, okay, so I was asking a few people. Then I thought, but no, what is the ulterior motive for the BBC? So I said to them, "Can't I just find out from other people? Why do they have to be black? This is not a black story. It's just a story, and other people in other walks of life have gone through this as well." And they were adamant that they didn't want that. So I said, "That's fine. We
And
all
you
have
declined.
choices." And we declined. And somebody said to me, "Oh, Michelle, you missed such a great opportunity. You could have been on the BBC." If I'm going to go on the BBC, it's going to be on my terms, not on their terms. It's going to be on my terms. I'm not going to be used as a scapegoat. I'm not going to be used as the poster child. That's not what we're not going to do that with Michelle Raymond. We're not going to do that. So I declined. And who knew? Fame and fortune could have come from it, but it wouldn't have been on my terms. And me, I like to sleep good at night. I like to sleep well at night, and I wouldn't be able to do that.
Amazing. I'm enjoying this conversation. I don't know about you, by the way. So, as we talk about your story today, something is very important.
Yes.
It's the power of storytelling.
Yes.
We cannot have this conversation without talking about the power of storytelling. How you transform the whole situation and you could tell your story. There are people watching this have gone through very bad times, but they don't have that power to tell their stories. Someone out there needs to hear your story. Can you walk us through that?
I think if you've gone through something traumatic and you want to share the story, people want to hear the story. But what you don't want to do is bleed on people. So I had to get counseling before I did that TEDx talk. And the counseling came in the form of being able to tell it without breaking down. Because back then, every time I told the story, I would cry. Even today, I got close. I got
saw it.
close.
I saw it.
I'm not gonna lie, I got close, and it's been years, right?
Okay.
And I tell the story, and I've never told the story in the same way. And that's the great thing about storytelling. You can tell the story. I haven't deferred from the truth at any point. But each time you tell the story, you remember something else. Because I've remembered something new. And when I've told them the story before, and I didn't remember something new. So the story always changed, but the foundations remain the same. And to tell a story which is based on trauma, you have to get help. So I have to seek help before I did that TEDx talk. And I had to just just deal with, because I didn't want it to be a catharsis when I'm on stage. I just had to just make sure I just got it all out before I did it. But you still want to retain some of the emotions. It's almost like a skill, to be fair, to be able to tell a story.
Yeah.
And I then created, no, don't lie, Michelle, I didn't create it, but I've adapted a framework of storytelling where I call it the 5 S's. You've got to set the scene. So for anyone listening, any story you tell, whether it's traumatic or not, it doesn't have, not everybody has to have a trauma to tell a good story. But you need to set the scene. Let's see if I can remember this. You've got to set the scene. You have to elaborate on who the stars are. So my scene was, I was, in a happily married. The stars was myself and my ex-husband. Stars, that scene, stars, summit.
Okay.
And then that's, the problem. I can't remember that last S, but the very last S is seed. Always have to leave a seed. What is the message? So although I'm telling a story about my trauma, that is not the message. The message is how you treat people that you don't know is going through problems. That is not that you that they it's not open that they are suffering, but have compassion. That was the seed. That was the message. So that's all. Anytime you tell a story, it should always have stars. It should always set the scene. It should always have a summit, and it should always have a seed. The message.
But people are scared. Some people, I wouldn't want
Yes.
to generalize it. They're scared of what will happen when I tell my story.
Yeah.
Because one thing is having a story, and the other is telling that story. There might be repercussions.
Yes.
You know,
I had repercussions.
can I handle it? So what's your perspective on that?
So everybody's different. Everybody has to work out their threshold. I made the choice that when I was going to do this, I knew it's going to open a can of worms because I kept zipped about it for years. I didn't speak about it. The newspapers, they wanted to interview me. I didn't do it. And because he was quite well known in the community.
Okay.
So everybody wanted to talk about it. And I thought I'd do it on my terms. So I didn't speak about it. But when I was ready, I knew that I had to deal with repercussions. I would have to speak to legal teams because it was a legal case. So even when I tell the story now, I'd never mention his name. I always talk about it from my perspective. I always use the word, he was accused and found guilty of, because I know there's legal repercussions to me telling the story. So I have to be very careful and mindful how I do it.
Okay.
So it could be somebody else's story. It may not be a legal repercussion. It might be just how people treat them. You will win and you will lose in everything, but it's how you deal with the losses which makes the difference. So people can share their story and they might lose a lot of their family members because it might be about their family, and then family don't want to speak to them. Are you willing to lose that to have your voice heard? Will you put yourself first? Always comes down, will you put yourself first? Are you willing to lose friends? I lost friends through it. I lost a lot of friends through it. But it was my story to be told. And I wanted to put Michelle first. So that's what everybody has to work out, their threshold. They need to work out how important is other people in this story. How can you tell the story and respect them? You can still respect them, but still make sure that your side of the story is heard. It's very important.
Okay, amazing. As we talk about, that story, because it's related to sexual offense or offenses, there's this talk, around the world on the need for, very hard punishment for, sex offenses.
Yes.
Some say castration, some say life imprisonment, some say capital punishment,
Yes.
and all of that. But what's your view on, very strenuous punishment for sexual offenders? And do you think they should be given a second chance?
Wow, that's a heavy question. But if to answer that question in terms of the punishment, I do believe that in second chances. I couldn't sit here and lie to you. Whether I believe that my ex-husband should have had a second chance is a different thing. But I do believe that people should have a second chance.
Okay.
Um, and so in terms of longevity of how long they stay in prison, I always think they should have the full hand of the law.
Okay.
And there should be a chance for recompense. There must be. And I couldn't say otherwise because I'm a Christian and we believe in forgiveness, right? We believe in
Okay.
forgiveness. So
Forgive
even
and
though
forget, they
it's
say.
forgive, but I don't forget. I'm still human.
Okay.
So with that being said, they should get the harshest, the strong hand of the law, and there needs to be a period of recompense, of rehabilitation, whatever it is for that person, so that when they go back out into the real, they do not reoffend. That's what we need to do. I mean, the thing is, if there's no healing, if there's no rehabilitation, they come out and they're still the beast that they were when they went in. We don't want that for society. We're trying to build society. So he's out, he's remarried, he has more children, he's living his life. He's living his life. And at first, I was resentful of it. I was very resentful. And then I thought to myself, I can't live my life being resentful. What does that make me? And how do I build, have my daughter grow up in a happy home if I'm just resenting what her dad did and what now that he's got this whole new life?
Okay.
So I leave him with his new life. My life is here and it's blissful and it's blossomed. And I think I live a blissful and blossom life because I've learned to forgive.
So forgiveness is key.
I think it's key.
Okay, nice.
Or else I'll
So,
just be bitter.
but people will tell you that someone did something to me that I don't think I can forgive that person. I rather go to the grave with it.
Okay. But that's their choice. But I know me, it will eat away because I'm gonna be forever bitter and I just feel like my life and I will use him as a leverage why I haven't succeeded in life because this happened to me so many years ago. But now I've let that go. And there is such power in letting things go. Absolutely no one owes me anything. I don't owe anything to anyone. And I sleep well at night every night.
Amazing. So as we look at your journey today, you became an award-winning TEDx speaker. So if there's one thing that has helped you in becoming very effective and efficient in communicating and speaking, what would you say that is? What would it
Empathy.
be?
Empathy.
Okay.
Empathy. Before I came here, I asked my friend, tell me about Ken. Because although you're interviewing me, I need to know that there's going to be rapport. So he gave me a little bit of information.
Okay.
Just nothing bad, just
Okay.
your character, the type of person you are. I came here, I was running late, but you were graceful enough to still have me on. So my thing for me, why I'm good at communicating, I'm good at building relationship with people, is because I want to understand people. I want to build a level of rapport with people
Okay.
and empathy.
Empathy. That's the word.
Empathy.
Amazing. So we are trying to speed up because we actually late on the channel. So as an entrepreneur, of course, you've been able to coach people,
Yes.
find your path, start up businesses. Can you walk us through your business journey, how it all started and all of that?
Yes, so we started, like I said to you before, we started in HR. I was working in HR for 25 years. I decided to go out and do it by myself. And that just kind of fell in my lap, I would say. I was at a conference and my new husband was with
Okay.
me. Yeah, because we went again. So my new husband, they asked on stage, is there anyone here who's started their own business, wants to come on stage and talk about it? I didn't have a business because I was fully working and fully happy working.
Okay.
And my husband put my arm up and in front of, I can't remember, there's hundreds and thousands of people there. I had to go on stage and talk about this fictitious business that I did not have. And I thought, oh my God, do I purge myself and just talk about this? Am I lying? Because everyone knows I don't have a business. But I talked about what I knew. Once again, there was something I knew and I was very good at HR. I talked about HR. When I got off the stage, I was inundated by people saying, Michelle, we loved the way that you delivered. We loved your talk and we need help. That same week, I started giving HR advice to different people. I was charging £50 for like very good advice. I was giving £50 here, £50 there. Then I decided, actually, we could make a business out of this.
Okay.
And that's what we did. I prayed about it, and it was just set in my spirit to call myself the people's partner because I like partnering with people. And the business started, and that's what we've done ever since. So we started with HR and we've graduated into executive coaching and leadership. And now I employ 5 staff. I have an extended network of trainers. We deliver leadership training, cultural intelligence training, communication with some of the biggest brands in the world. So I've done this for BT, Lloyds Bank, Meta, and some big food chains. And we've been doing this around the world. And I've never looked back since.
So you enjoy it, right?
I enjoy it.
Amazing. I could see.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I enjoy it because it's my baby.
Okay. So as we look at your entrepreneurial journey, I saw a video of your new husband, Peter.
Yeah.
Where he said you work 14 to 18 hours a day.
I do.
So how do you, strike that balance, work-life balance, first as a mother, second as a wife,
Yeah.
and third as a business owner? How do you strike the balance?
I don't. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I have balance. I don't have balance. I have flexibility. And
what's the
flexibility,
difference?
The balance means you assign a certain time for this, and you make sure by this time you finish so you can work with family. That's not how my life works at all. I was even saying to someone, I hardly do any cooking at home. What I do is this. I spend a lot of my time working, but when I stop working, and it's just family time. It's just family time. And I don't do anything else. And that's where they are flexible with me. I'm flexible with them on that. And you have to marry somebody who just loves you inside and out, because I don't think many people could be married to me, to be fair. And he's very good that he takes a lot of what would be considered a woman's job. So he will cook. And yeah, he does a lot of the cooking. And he allows me to be great at what I'm doing.
Supports you.
He supports me. And my daughter's followed in my footsteps. So, and we spend time together. I make sure that I drop her to the station every morning and pick her up every evening. Someone said to me, why are you picking your daughter up from the station? Why don't you just let her take the bus? I said, but this is part of my quality time. And this is how I balance my work-life flexibility. So I go in and out as I wish. They go in and out as they wish, and it works. What works for one person is not necessarily going to work for another. You have to find what works for your family type.
What works for you.
And this works for me.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Let's talk about something. You went through a very traumatizing, experience in your first marriage. And again, you decided to give love and marriage a chance.
Yes.
I think that's very important.
Yes.
So can you briefly, talk to that person that probably went through a lot, and feeling, okay, I'm not going to get married again. I'm not going to do this again. I won't fall in love again. I've been hurt. I won't do this again. But you, despite what you went through, you still gave love a chance. Yes. Still giving love a chance. Yeah. What would you say?
Just give it some time. And don't be searching. I didn't search for it. I didn't search for it at all. I was messing about online, to be fair.
I like the honesty.
Let me not even play. I was messing about online.
Okay.
Me and my friend, we were on some online dating app, and we were having a competition to see who's gonna attract more men, and that's how it happened. And yeah, he came in my inbox, and I'm thinking, who's this? And he's not black.
Okay.
And I've never dated outside my race, so I thought. And actually, I thought he was some Mediterranean guy, because he had sunglasses on, so I couldn't see anything. Okay. And he was standing in front of some flag. And so I thought, oh, who's this? And we, started talking. And then he sent me a picture. And then I thought, oh, my God, he's Asian. And I thought, oh, no. But by this time, I got to like him, and he was very. I'm one of these people. I like people who are attentive. So he was really attentive, and it transpired that he was telling me all about Caribbean culture, and I'm thinking, how does he know all this? But when he was younger, he was fostered by a Caribbean family,
Okay.
and so it worked out.
And now you're enjoying your second marriage.
Yeah,
Amazing.
exactly.
I like that. So let's talk about something you do, because a lot of person watching this are already inspired, motivated, and they might want to see you more. They might want to know more about what you do. Can you tell us about, the platform you have, or the program you have called the Diverse Business Summit? You did it in UK last year.
Yes.
I was aware of it. And in 2025, you're doing it in Dubai.
I am.
Okay, so tell us about it and how people can catch a Michelle Raymond live and get to feel the bars, the energy.
Oh, it's so good. I'm telling you, the Diverse Business Summit took place twice in London. And I did it the first time because my mum said, Michelle, you're going to everybody's event. You're always supporting other people's event. Why don't you build your own tent and let them come to you? And I thought, I'm not an event organizer. I can't do this. All the doubts, once again, comparing myself to other people who've done it. And I just thought, Michelle, let's just do it. Let's just do it. I spoke to a few people and they said, Michelle, you can do that. You're connected to the right people. And I reached out to some corporates. I got sponsorship. I put on the event. It went really well. We got over 180 people come. They paid tickets. My tickets were around £300. And I thought, oh God, no one's going to pay that. They paid it and they came and they had a great time. So I thought, okay, that was it. I just wanted to do it once. Then they were saying, there's no way you can do this once. I had the head of diverse, the procurement department for Meta.
Okay.
She was there. She has a billion pound pot budget. She came to the event. I went to the toilet. She saw me and she said, Michelle, have you read your emails? I said, no, because I'm here. I haven't read my emails. She said, read your emails. In the email, she said, I am sitting at your event and it's probably the best event I've been to all year. I'm coming next year and we're going to change our sponsorship to make sure we're sponsoring you next year.
Remarkable.
So, crazy, right? Absolutely crazy. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to do it next year. Did it a second year. And this time I had HSBC Bank there. I had Ernst & Young. I had BP there, all these brands. And the whole premise of the event is to bring together diverse business owners. These are the underdogs, the invisible entrepreneurs, and put them in a room with corporates so they can work with corporates. They can understand what they're looking for, what they need. And then the corporates can understand how to work better with small business owners, black owned, brown owned, LGBTQ plus or neurodiverse business owners. And that's putting the melting pot together. Second year went well. They loved it. People said they couldn't even believe how I could top the first one. And now we decided we're going to do it in Dubai.
Yeah.
And so the slight difference is we're bringing in tech because we have to.
Okay.
So it's now the Diverse Business and Tech Summit, and we're helping small business owners become tech enabled so that they can be more competitive when they're going for corporate contracts.
Amazing. And of course, if you're watching this right now, we'll keep you updated as the show or the event draws closer. Personally, I'll be there.
Yes, of course.
You have my word. I'm going to be there.
Yes.
All right. I can't miss it. And of course, you watching this, we'll try to drop links on how you can get there and be part of this amazing event. Okay. I want you to tell us something very important here, because this is Fuse. We will talk about stories to inspire and motivate young people, basically.
Definitely.
All right. So, what are those hard truths that you think young people should know or must know?
I think a hard truth is do not overjudge yourself. Don't over criticize yourself. Young people do this all the time. Obviously, social media does not help. It shows the glitz and the glamour of some people's lifestyle when it doesn't look like that in reality. And I want, if I had to tell my younger person is, don't overjudge yourself. Do not judge yourself and just be brave enough to try. You don't have to always win. There's nothing wrong with failure. This is what I would tell myself, my younger self. This is what I want to tell the young people watching this. You don't have to win every race. And there's nothing wrong with failure. Just give yourself a chance to even try. That is it. That is it.
Amazing. And I hope you took notes, because as young people, we always feel like, okay, if I fail, that's it.
Yeah.
But
It's never that it.
when you fail, it's a chance for you to do it again, for you
Yeah.
to try.
Yeah.
Go harder this time.
Exactly. And I always say there's no failure, it's only feedback. So you never ever fail. There's nothing called fail. What you're going to get from that is feedback. Learn what you can do differently next time.
Amazing. So as we look to wrap up today, because I feel like I should spend 2 hours with you. I really feel like we should have like 2 hours to talk, because you're like a walking motivation.
Thank you.
I would say, because especially for women with color,
Yes.
you set the pace, you motivate people. I would say thank you again. This is the third time I'm telling you thank you. So what will your final words of encouragement to people watching this, men, women, girls, boys, and even to their kids in school?
Do you know what I would say? Simply say, take a bet on yourself.
Okay.
Take a bet on yourself. You cannot expect other people to believe that you can do things if you don't even believe you can do it. And I say, take a bet on yourself. Be like my daughter Ashan. She's taken a bet on herself. She's coming out here, only been to Dubai once for a long weekend. And she's taken a bet on herself. And that's what I want your guys to do as well.
Thank you so much, Michelle Raymond, for coming to Fuse. I really appreciate your appearance, and I would say I think we should do another package, because I think this episode wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. So thank you for coming once again.
Thank you.
And like I always say, that you have to believe in yourself, trust that you can actually get it done. Every new experience brings its own maturity and a great clarity of vision. Success is not the absence of failure, it's persistence through failure. Don't forget to click on the subscribe button to see more amazing interviews like this. Comment, share, as your support is really appreciated. Thank you so much for now, and bye. Fuse with Ken, an amazing experience.